Right now, these look great, but if you miss this step, they'll stall out, and before you know it, it'll be too late. But this is where you either keep momentum or lose it. You don't want to wait until they start to struggle. Instead, you want to move them while they're still pushing. Everything we're potting up, we're following the same exact system every time. We're not fixing problems, we are maintaining the momentum of the plant's growth. And for that, we simply start with a slitted bottom flat, which has holes for drainage in it, because we're going to start top watering these instead of bottom watering like we did before in the grow room. Into that, we use these simple breakaway flats. These have 24 in them. They're about 2 inches by 3 inches. We switched to these a few years ago simply because of space management more than anything. When you go into a 4x4, you only get about 12 to 15 cells per tray, and that just takes up way more room in your propagation area. And this dibbler is specifically sized for our plug. It is the same exact size on the end, so we can very easily put a hole in the tray we just filled to the exact size that we need. You might have to give it a little bit of a wiggle around to put it down, but this is also the same exact thing that we use when we transplant in the field as well. It gives us a perfect size hole every time and allows us to very quickly and easily set transplants from a 100 cell flat straight in the field. Now these, on the other hand, need to be potted up specifically because it is too early in the season to get them out in the field yet. If we were to plant tomatoes in the field right now, they would not make it, or even in the greenhouse because they're all unheated. It's going to get down to freezing tonight, and we got another one in about a week. Plus, the nighttime temperatures are so low, we do not want to stress them. Again, this is where we keep our momentum going. We didn't spend all the time earlier getting these beautiful starts up and ready to have them stall out now. You want to keep the momentum, get them in the field, and have them keep going for perfect success in our system. With our tray set up and ready to go with all the perfect size holes in it, we begin simply just pulling our tomatoes from the flat. Very, very important, because I have about 7 different varieties of tomatoes in here. We want to maintain those in each of these flats separately. And if we're going to mix them, we have to be very careful to tag them, because there's nothing worse than going out and planting tomatoes and then finding out that you have multiple varieties in one bed. Like if you have your bush tomatoes mixed in with your cherry tomatoes, then they're grown a completely different method, and it really just throws everything off. So from this point on, we're going to be extremely careful in keeping all of these to their own specific areas and tagged in every way possible so we do not lose track of what we're doing. As soon as you get your trays filled, so this is our first 100 cell flat, we want to water in what we just potted up, making sure to go from side to side and off of it, giving a light watering it first, and then we'll come back and do another pass from the start, getting a little heavier. This is a part where things can go wrong very quickly if you're not using the right kind of equipment. Most people will use a hose-in sprayer, which just sprays the heck out of them, gets dirt up on the leaves, and causes major problems in the end. Again, we're looking to just start to see the water beating up on top. It's our indication that we'll need one more pass. We are still using the watering can this time of year simply because we've still got freezing temperatures ahead of us, and I do not want to drag a hose out that's going to freeze. I will warn you, after watering these in, they don't look the best in the world. That's because they got water all over top of them, and those tomato plants have been supporting themselves with themselves for such a long time in that smaller cell that now they have to regain the strength to go back upright. With that good soaking there and some good light on them, they'll pick up in no time flat. But now is when we have to make a very, very important decision. Are we going to stay in our propagation greenhouse and run the heater behind me to keep it warm in here? Because again, we're going to have a freezing night tonight and a freezing night here in a couple days. Or do we move them back to the grow room and get them back on the racks? It's a decision I'm going to have to mull over. probably bring them in tonight, and then after that we'll keep them out of here and start running the heater. I don't want to quite run the risk of shocking them this early, because that is what really slows them down. If you noticed, I never told you how long they were actually in that original 98 cell flat when I started with. And that is all dependent on your system. In our system, where we use the indoor grow room, I have that down to basically I can move it out on a specific day. We always shoot for weeks on the farm because a week's easier to think of than a single day, and you know, things happen on a farm. But that is part of our system that we've developed for many, many years to get plants looking like this and ready to go in the field without slowing them down, keeping them pushing when it's time to push, and getting the best yields, the best harvest possible. As you see, this process is not the hardest thing in the world. It's a very simple, thought out process where timing matters the most. And that's what we'll be covering next week. So be sure, come back, check it out. In the meanwhile, go check out growersblueprint.com to learn the systems we use on our farm, and also the book that helps you develop the systems for your farm. And as always, thank y'all. Keep farming. Have a good day.